Lane Myers capitulates. Offers to take plea deal? YouTube users, please click the text link in the description to see our full chart breaking down today's fundraising activity. In what may prove to be an extended April Fool's gag, Lane Myers entered Monday's court hearing to determine if his communication privileges in the Pima County Adult Corrections Facility would be limited with a cheery, positive attitude and a seeming new respect for the judicial process and those involved. Stop smirking. It was April Fool's Day after all. According to our courtroom reporter, Myers saw a diminished crowd compared to his Friday hearing, as only Myers' wife/girlfriend and the tall man who had to be told to get off his phone at the last hearing were present in court for the hearing. Before the hearing began, a woman identified as Myers' wife/girlfriend attempted to give a pair of glasses to Myers' advisory attorney, William Parvin. Parvin was reminded by prosecutor Rachel Stiles that he needed to submit the glasses to the Pima County Adult Corrections Facility before Myers could have them. Parvin was less than thrilled at that news, as it would mean another trip to the jail. As prosecutor Stiles began to set up her presentation in the minutes before Real, which featured tons of multimedia based on Myers' previous demand to see every moment of the video she was set to share, Myers looked past advisory attorney Parvin and told her that he had agreed to no longer livestream from jail. Stiles didn't get much of a chance to react to Myers as court was called to order, and Judge D. Douglas Metcalf went into a lengthy admonishment of Myers for his previous behavior in court. Metcalf made it clear that Myers needed to follow the court's rules or else his ability to represent himself could be taken away and he could be sent to another courtroom to participate as a viewer via Zoom call. Myers responded to the admonishment by thanking the judge and then went into an apology for his previous behavior. He said that he had voluntarily stopped live streaming and pushed for a verbal agreement, which was accepted by the prosecution, that he would not be live streaming from jail. Everyone seemed surprised at Myers' attempts to be good, as it was in stark contrast to his previous meltdown at Friday's hearing. Myers, however, knowingly disrespected the prosecutor throughout the hearing by calling her by her first name, rather than her honorific and last name. He singled out the prosecutor for this behavior, properly addressing the judge and his attorney throughout the hearing. With the agreement in place, there was a brief discussion about Myers releasing parts of the grand jury testimony and the information obtained through disclosure during his live streams. Myers seemed unaware that his actions were not permitted and that leaking grand jury information could be added as a Class 1 misdemeanor. He agreed to stop the practice. The judge advised both sides that they would be able to combine both sets of charges against Myers into a single case. Myers asked prosecutor Stiles to do so on his behalf. Stiles agreed to file the motion, indicating to the court that she would include Myers' stance in her filing. Stiles asked to hold Myers' arraignment for his second set of charges in the time they had left in the hearing, but Judge Metcalf was prevented from doing so as the computer system would not let him access the documents he needed to do so. Myers will be arraigned instead on Friday. Myers, with prompting from Parvin, brought up settlement conferences. Myers indicated that he would immediately accept any plea deal presented to him, but he had heard Rachel wanted to wait a couple of weeks. Judge Metcalf explained how settlement conferences worked. He said that Myers would be presented with a written offer from the prosecution. A hearing would be held with a different judge, and they'd hash out details of the settlement. Those details would be off record, though the final agreement would be publicly available. Myers then brought up the revelation that the jail had gotten rid of their dedicated law library, instead making that information accessible through the tablets that inmates share. Myers attempted to get extra dedicated time with a tablet each day based on this, but was effectively shut down by Judge Metcalf. The hearing itself was fairly mundane and was in stark contrast to Friday's hearing. There were no protesters on behalf of Myers. A Stringer reporter was in attendance, who hoped the story would be picked up by the national press. Otherwise, it seems like attempts to get media coverage from the local and national news media by Myers and associate Josh Gray have failed. Gray restreamed the hearing on his This Is a Public Service YouTube channel, directing his viewers to download and mail Myers' prepared form letter to media outlets and politicians in hopes they'd intervene in the case. On the fundraising front, Myers brought in a single donation of $100 to his Give Sin Go campaign on Tuesday. He won the day, followed by Liberty Troll, who took in $50 for his Support the Fight for Our Constitutional Rights campaign, and Sean Paul Long Island Audit Reyes, who took in $25 for his Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign. Myers is due in court for his arraignment on April 4th, 2025. The next hearing in front of Judge Metcalf is scheduled for April 15th, 2025.
Journalism in crisis. Both ReallyCoolSite.org's daily newspaper and our daily newscasts are funded by your continuing donations and what we make from our YouTube AdSense revenue each month. If you'd like to contribute to help us keep the lights on, eating, keeping the cats fed, and writing news stories to feature on both the newspaper and newscast each day, we do have a GoFundMe on screen right now. As real American and true protector of the First Amendment, Lane Myers has made multiple threats to sue us in recent days. Portions of all donations may also go towards fighting any possible future lawsuits. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch our entire videos, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in.